The Queen is the only head of the royal family that most of us have ever known, and yet as a woman in this role, Max, she is unusual.
Well, she was the oldest child, but there was 2 girls, so she went on to become monarch. But if she'd had a younger brother, then he would have become king and she would have been passed by.
And that was sort of the natural progression and would be with her children. The boys would rule.
Oldest boy is Prince Charles. He'll go on to become monarch, but it's seen as fair because he's the oldest child anyway.
Same thing applies to the next one?
Absolutely. William, oldest child, boy, will go on to become king.
And now comes the puzzle, though, because a child is coming along, a baby, could be a boy, could be a girl, and times have changed.
Absolutely. I mean, the general feeling is that whether it's a boy or a girl, the oldest child should just go on to become monarch. At the moment, it's the boy who will take precedence, and it's seen as unfair.
So people are talking about a rule change, and that means an entirely new venue. So we wind up over here in the House of Lords, where, Max, some very special legislation has been in the works.
This is the succession to the crown bill. It was rushed through Parliament. It states that succession to the crown no longer depends on gender. Up until now, the eldest son would go on to become king, whether or not they had a more capable older sister. In future, the plan is that the oldest child, whether or not they're a boy or a girl, will become monarch.
But it's not as simple as all that, is it? Because there have been thousands of laws promulgated in this country for many, many, many years.
Yeah, and for centuries, they've really assumed this sexism. Take, for example, this, the Treason Act, 1351, and it states that it is treason to kill the king's son and heir. That's had to be changed to eldest child and heir. It's the example of the type of thing they've had to change, and it's been very complicated, but they have managed to do it, at least in the UK.
And just to make it a little more complicated, think about this. This is a country that has enormous influence and scope all around the globe. And how is that going to play out, Max?
Well, the British monarch is also head of state in 15 other countries around the world. You can see them marked in yellow on here. And they all have to legislate for this rule to come into force. And most of them have managed to do it, but we're still waiting on Australia. They probably won't get round to it until after the birth. But we do know that this rule will be backdated, so it will affect this baby.
An awfully big fuss in any event over a very little baby.